Welcome back to the Find Me in Seattle podcast. This is the 22nd episode of the show, and I'm so happy to have you here today. And got lots to talk about, lots of fun things to eat. I am absolutely melting here this week without having AC, which is a very common Seattle thing. I was told this week also I have a ceiling fan in my apartment here, and I guess I should be very lucky and counting my blessings for having the ceiling fan, because lots of you I hear don't have ceiling fans, so I'm very lucky for that. But before we get into this week's food and exciting things that happened here at Find Me in Seattle, let's get you caught up on this week in Seattle news. So sports are back here in Seattle, and it was almost like they didn't leave, except they totally left. We pretty much didn't have sports for 4 months, which was probably a blessing for Amanda. She was probably so happy that I wasn't addicted. We have a thing here in our household, and we call it Super Sports Saturday, especially in the fall when college football season gets going and the Sounders are going simultaneously. It's one of my favorite pastimes, should we say. But they're already going. The Sounders played in the MLS is Back tournament. They have since been eliminated from that tournament, so now they return back to Seattle to wait the start of the regular season, which is going to be a condensed season that is set to end probably somewhere October, November, December, but we will see if that happens. The big reason, all the sports that have happened so far, the NBA, MLS, and the NWSL, which is the Women's Soccer League, have all been confined to a bubble where all the players went to Orlando or Utah, and they are all in the same hotel. They didn't expose themselves outside, and they played their game and finished their tournament, and that was the end of it. But Major League Baseball, they are actually traveling from city to city, and they're already having a ton of issues. The Marlins in Florida have had a ton of positive tests, and their games are getting canceled. The Mariners have played so far. They right now have a record of 3-4, 3 wins and 4 losses. They played at Houston and at the Los Angeles Angels, and today starts a week-long homestand here in Seattle. There's going to be no fans in the stadium. You are allowed to purchase a paper cutout of yourself or anyone you want. I saw a really good one at the Dodger Stadium. Somebody printed out a picture of Breonna Taylor. Rest in peace. Let's find those killers. Or not find those killers. We know who the killers are. Let's arrest the killers of Breonna Taylor. And they put her in a Dodgers jersey and bought a cutout for her. I thought that was pretty cool. And just a little unique thing of activism for that constant reminder. And you can do the same thing here in Seattle for the Mariners. I didn't choose to do that because I'm not going to see it, and I honestly haven't been watching a ton of the baseball games. But yeah, very interesting. The Mariners have 20 straight days of games from starting last week up until 10 days from now. They have 2 days off this month, so they're really cramming in the 60-game season. And the Seattle Reign, they got knocked out of the tournament at the NWSL Challenge Cup. Something that was interesting there, the Houston Dash were the ones who won the tournament, which encompassed the entire season, which is not what the other leagues are doing. And they still had a victory parade, but it was a reverse victory parade. And I just thought it was something so cool to see where the team had their stage and they stood on top of the stage, and then all the fans in their cars drove by the stage to say congratulations and cheer them on. And it was just something like sweet to see and nice, because we should recognize that the Women's Soccer League was the first team sport to start up here in the United States. Not covered enough, not enough credit to them and their league for getting that all together, creating a bubble and getting all their players in the bubble. But then to see the winners and them host this parade, it just feels like, where we thought the world was actually going to be. And I thought that was pretty cool. And if I was a Houston fan, I'd be very, very excited for that. So yeah, we got the Sounders back, Mariners back, the Reign back, and lastly, the Seattle Storm, the WNBA team. They just started their season. They are also in a bubble down in Orlando, and the Seattle Storm kicked off their season against the New York team, and they won by like 20. I think they lost in their second game earlier this week as well. But yeah, sports are fully back. I'm a big golf fan, so I've been watching a lot of golf, but the big question is college football. How is college football going to get started? And the NFL, if they're going to get started, we shall see. Some other things that happened in Seattle. Jay Inslee, specifically in the state of Washington, has made a pause on all counties from their reopening plans, so no more going to phase 4 for anyone. And as of July 22nd, I saw that the King County positive rate was 5.3%, and at that time there's 15,000 positives with 1,950 hospitalizations. That's 12.8% of the people who tested positive ended up in the hospital. That's a scary number in my opinion, and that's the reason why you don't want to get coronavirus. I feel like as time's going on, people aren't as scared of it, but 1 out of 9 or 10 people are showing up in the hospital. That's a scary number, and at that time we had 647 deaths. By the time you're listening to that, these numbers are all going to be going up. Earlier this week, there was a subcommittee, congressional subcommittee, should I say, for a hearing with Jeff Bezos and the CEOs of Google, Facebook, and Apple. And those are talks just around antitrust legislation and the fact that their market power is so strong. And Amazon sales jumped up 40% in Q2, where the rest of the world is falling apart. Amazon continues to establish themselves as a very essential company, and they're doing something right, jumping 40%. Because that's where everyone's going. People aren't going out anymore. That's incredible if you're an Amazon stockholder. An interesting piece of news that came out, mail was temporarily not delivered in the Greenwood neighborhood here in Seattle, which is in North Seattle, after the USPS issued a letter stating, quote, the mail could no longer be delivered because of the Stay Healthy Streets program. Due to the increase in pedestrian traffic, it has become a safety hazard for the mail carrier and the community to deliver mail. So temporarily, they weren't delivering mail, but those people there in Greenwood, I believe they have figured that out. So the most interesting thing to me personally that news that happened this week was that Tahlequah, also known as J35, she's a member of the Southern Resident Killer Whales, is pregnant again. And J35, why she's so famous and why we're talking about her and why I'm so interested is back in 2018, she became known worldwide because her calf had died, and for 17 days she swam over 1,000 miles carrying her dead baby calf. And it was just a heartbreaking thing to see. And she's pregnant again, along with 2 other mothers, I guess potential mothers, in the Southern Resident Orcas. They're broken up into pods. There's J, K, and L, so it looks like there's 1 pregnant mother in each of the pods, which is promising. But on the sad part, white people are still a little skeptical. And something that I found out today was that 2/3 of pregnant orcas lose the baby, whether that's through a miscarriage or the baby dies shortly after. So I would say the chances aren't high, but that moment happened in 2018, and I won't forget. I think a lot of people don't forget seeing that, and we all connected on such a deep emotional level to see an animal in the wild show so clearly a level of grief that all of us can relate to when tragedy happens in our lives. It just gave us this really unique connection with them as animals, and they're an endangered species here in Washington or in the Puget Sound, and so we need to take care of them, and hopefully this one goes better. I'm sure I will have an update for you there. Excellent. Well, that is all of the news that significantly caught my attention this week here in Seattle. And if you ever see something that you find interesting or you want to hear my opinion on, you know how to get a hold of me. All right, now let's talk about Find Me in Seattle and the adventures that I had around the city this week. My meal of the week is from a small restaurant called Bruddah in South Seattle. It's right on Rainier Ave. And Bruddah is a twist on Hawaiian mixed plate and Thai food, which are like 2 of my favorite flavors. And so I ordered the Hawaiian grilled beef, which is a sauteed strip loin. It comes with 2 scoops of rice, mac salad, and Asian slaw. And Amanda also had the chasu barbecue pork, and I thought it was absolutely delicious. It kind of was like a meal and a half for me. It's a lot of food. Ordered it really easily on their website. Went in. Obviously, they don't have any table set up. It's all just to go. But the thing why I recommend that you go pick up food from Bruddah in South Seattle is their selection of sauces is immaculate. It's more tailored now for social distancing. It's all prepackaged, but they have got an area with all different flavors from sweet to spicy, and you will find something that you like there. I promise. Make sure to check out the sauce selection at Bruddah. And so, what else? Something interesting that I saw around the city today was at this sandwich shop in Ballard. It's called Mean Sandwich, and I think they have the most unique invention for to-go carry-out meals to have social distancing, and we're going to call it contactless, which is a funny term in its own, because contactless means that two people aren't coming in contact, but there's plenty of contact still on the bags and the food. So you want to make sure you're careful there. But what Mean Sandwich did, and I'm not sure if this existed before, but they had this little drawer in the bottom of their window. So you walk up to their door, their front door, you don't go inside the business, you ring a little bell, and then a server comes up to you and comes up to the window, and she pretty much just pointed at the bags that were ready, and it had my name on it. And she saw Connor, and I said, that's the one. And she walks over, she puts it in the basket, which is through the door, and pushes it through the door. It pops open a little window at the bottom, and I picked my bag right out. And I just thought it was so interesting, so clever, so unique, and just super easy. And so I'm sure a lot of the delivery people who have been visiting Mean Sandwich have been enjoying that. It's just very convenient and very clever. And so shout out to Mean Sandwich, because I thought that was one of the most unique pieces of social distancing and let's call them COVID-19 inventions at any business that I have seen. And so it's been absolutely miserable here in Seattle. And I mentioned this in the beginning of the show that none of us have AC, and it's so dang hot all the time. And so my hot tip for today is to visit Citizen, which is in Lower Queen Anne, and Citizen Campfire. So for years now, Citizen has mostly been known for their brunch. Right, and it's a tiny little place. They have this little upstairs spot. I mean, there can't be more than like 30 people who can sit at Citizen, especially in the winter. But they have this outdoor area that has continually evolved. They keep getting new stuff and new furniture, and they have all of this outdoor seating now at Citizen Campfire, which is great. They've got a big bonfire that's there, and just dozens of socially distant places to sit. So I mean, you can get dozens of tiny little groups in there, and they have. Not only have they invested in slushy machines, but they're doing frozen cocktails to go. And they're just absolutely delicious. And they're very clever how they're made. They're in these little baggies. So if you're not planning to hang out there for very long, or you just want them to go because you're heading somewhere else, pick up one of these frozen cocktails to go. They're delicious. They're heavy pours for sure. And they're big. The pouches I felt like I was drinking more than just a normal single drink, which is really great. And shout out to them. Looking for a lot of popsicles and slushies and cold drinks to get us through this hot time. And Citizen in Queen Anne has got you covered. Well, I think that's it. It was a very easy, mellow week. I actually did go to a few other places in South Seattle, but I haven't actually shared those, so I'm going to be saving those for you soon. And don't forget to vote. Voting is next Tuesday. The ballots are due in the box by Tuesday. I'd highly recommend when you are voting that you take your ballot and put it in one of those designated ballot drop boxes, because those go straight to the hands of the city or the counters. If you put it in the USPS blue mailbox, USPS has already put out some warnings that it could take as long as 2 weeks for them to get your ballot to where it needs to go. I assume it's still going to be counted, but if you want to double check and you have the opportunity, do a little search, find that ballot box, and make sure when you fill out your votes, you go and get it done there. Please go do that. If you're not doing it, I'm so curious to see how many people are going to come out and vote. We had record turnout last year. I expect the same. I expect even more this year. I hope. I'm proud of Seattle and what we're doing. I think it's pretty awesome. Oh, I guess one more thing that I am proud of is our Congresswoman
Pramila J. Paul just absolutely shredded it and had a viral moment. This is coming off the top of my head, but go look up her fight against, I believe it was Attorney General Barr, just about the whole situation that's going on here with the protest and sending in national troops to all these cities, which is absolutely horrifying and terrible and scary and shouldn't be happening. But it was a moment where I saw her video and I was like, wow, I'm so proud that she's our congresswoman and she is sticking up for us like that. I thought that was awesome, and shout out to her. But yeah, thanks to Buddha Bruddah, Mean Sandwich, Citizen Campfire, Go Manners, Go Storm. And that's it for today's show. It's a short show. Thanks for joining me. Please leave a review if you're still listening to this. If you're on an iPhone, it's so easy to give me 5 stars. Like, you can just open it right now and it's right there in the menu. Just please do that if you're liking the show. Thank you for everyone here watching on YouTube as well. I love you all so much for every second that you're listening to my ridiculousness here at Find Me in Seattle. And I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Stay cool, stay safe, wash your hands, and I'll see you next week.